What's going on today? This is David again, coming to bring you part 2 to the Lord's face. Sorry about the delay. I wanted to go through the notes and make sure I brought out things that would help edify you even more, give you a good foundation to stand on or to understand and know where to find it. You Israelites, so-called Negroes, Native Indigenous Indians, Hispanics, of Native Indigenous descent, Negro descent by the house of your fathers, along with the islanders and all that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, coming back to this word through the Spirit, studying the scriptures, identifying yourself and your conditions with this word. All praise to you and peace to you. All praises to the Gentiles and peace who are studying this truth, learning the truth, and for all mankind. It's in here in Babylon, America, it's definitely changing. Okay, the devil's starting to show his horns. It's imperative, you Israelites, you apply your heart to this word every day, to gain understanding, to get wisdom, the mother. It's the only thing you should be dealing with. It is life and death for you. By not doing so, you're just bringing death your way. The wrath of a king. But anyway, I want to get into this, give you a few good parts to give you some edification. And again, all praise the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Let's get it. The Lord's face. The Secrets of Enoch, chapter 37. And the Lord called up one of the older angels, terrible and menacing, and placed him by me, Enoch, in heaven. In appearance white as snow, and his hands like ice, having the appearance of great frost, and he froze my face. Because I cannot endure the terror of the Lord, just as it is not possible to endure a stove's fire and the sun's heat. So he says the Lord's face is very, very, very bright. You ever try to look at the sun with your bare eyes? And the frost of the air. And the Lord said to me, Enoch, if thy face be not frozen here, no man will be able to behold thy face. Right. So the same situation took place with Moses. It says in Exodus or Genesis 33, Moses received grace of the Lord. So he got to go stand in front of him and learn, but his face shone, was frozen, right? He had to wear a veil. And he would wear the veil when he would talk to the people so it wouldn't scare people. But then he would take it off when he would go talk to the Lord. This is the foundation of it, okay? This gives you more understanding to why what you read in Revelation takes place. That people just try to deny. They ignore the whole thing. Well, they just don't have the root understanding. So let's keep going. Let me see. The book of the Secrets of Enoch, chapter 44. You Israelites, the line of man. The Lord with his hands having created man in the likeness of his own face. Right. So you Israelites, you are created in the likeness of your Lord. Right. Let's read. The Lord made him small and great. Whoever reviles the ruler's face, right? You revile the ruler's face by changing it or being deceptive. Abhors the Lord's face. Right. He had and abhors the Lord's face, has despised the Lord's face. Anti, who vents anger on any man without injury. Right. So you chase a man down because he's running through the neighborhood and he hasn't done anything to you. And then you kill him. You're going to be punished in the day of judgment. Your whole household. Let's read. I think it's the whole house. Let me make sure. The Lord's great anger will cut him down. He who spits on the face of man reproachfully will be cut down in the Lord's great judgment. Right. So anyone who's affecting or harming the Lord's face, they will be punished. Right. I think I talked about this in Face of the Lord with Nipsey Hussle. He slapped the Lord's face. The Lord chose a time to take him out using man. Right. That's Genesis 9. You attack or harm man, man will cut you down. Let's read. Genesis 9, yeah. Blessed is the man who does not direct his heart with malice against any man, the line of man, and helps the injured and condemned, and raises the broken down. Right, you've been broken down by your oppressor. So blessed is the man who raises you up. and shall do charity to the needy, because on the day of the great judgment, every weight, every measure, and every make weight will be as in the market. That is to say, they are hung on scales and stand in the market, and everyone shall learn his own measure, and according to his measure shall take his reward. That's right. Secrets of Enoch, chapter 60. He who works the killing of a man's soul kills his own soul. You work the killing of a man's soul. You kill your own soul by doing such. Crafty counsel to murder a black man, a native indigenous man. You're doing harm to the face of the Lord. You're reviling his children, so you're reviling him. So through the Spirit, you will be cut down. Let's read. Kills his own soul and kills his own body, and there is no cure for him for all time. You get no vindication for doing it. So all the people who had the Israelites in slavery, who oppressed, whose foundation is unrighteous, they might walk around today with great abundance, but in the day of judgment, it's going to be cut down, and they're going to be judged accordingly. Let's read. He who puts a man in any snare. So you lay a deception for the line of man. You lay a deception for an Israelite by leading him on the wide gate, the wrong path. Let's read. Shall stick it in himself, so that's going to come back on you. And there is no cure for him for all time. He who puts a man in any vessel, right? So you put a man on a cargo slave ship, right? Or you hog-tied him, put him in a truck and drag him down the street. Or all the things that they've done throughout the years to the so-called Negroes and Native Indians in slavery. All those things are going to be repaid back on the earth with blood. Let's read. His retribution will be not wanting at the great judgment for all time. He who works crookedly or speaks evil against any soul will not make justice for himself for all times. Right. So if you're just a vile beast person in general, besides man, if you're just a wicked person, you're not going to have a good time when judgment comes. Let's read. The Secrets of Enoch, chapter 65. And Enoch answered all his people, saying, Hear, my children, before that all creatures were created, the Lord created the visible and invisible things. Invisible things. Can't see everything now. And as much time as there was and went past, understand that after that he created man in the likeness of his own form. Right, so you need to know the Lord's form. Man. And put into him eyes to see, ears to hear, and heart to reflect, and intellect wherewith to deliberate. You're the righteous line. You're the only people who think like this. You even Jake will give you 8,000 times. I watched the situation in a store, and the lady calls her the N-word, right? Most people would just react. The sister is giving her an opportunity by saying, call me it again. Basically, I'm justified now. I think I heard you, but now you're guilty, right? You're the only people who do that because you're the line of man. That's how the Lord made you. Let's read. Reasonable hearts. And the Lord saw all man's works and created all his creatures in divided time. From time he fixed the years, and from the years he appointed the months, and from the months he appointed the days, and of days he appointed 7. That's right. Let's go to, here we go. Enoch, chapter 71. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, right? So Enoch was translated, okay? So when you read Matthew 17, let me get that. When it talks about the transfiguration, it's not Moses and Elijah. It's Enoch and Elijah. It's just another deception because Enoch was translated to stand next to the Lord along with Elijah. Now, when you read chapter 17, it talks about John coming back as Elijah. No, he came back as the spirit of Elijah, because spirits can be transferred. And people who know the scriptures will know that. Those who don't. Let me see. Matthew 17. Here we go. Matthew chapter 17. And after 6 days, Yahushua taketh Peter, James, and John his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun. Where do we hear that? Enoch, right? Because he's in his power, his holy glory. And his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with them. It wouldn't be Moses. It would be Elijah, because Moses was not translated standing next to the Lord. These are the two that are standing next to the Lord, which would be the true two witnesses. Moses didn't go to heaven. He got the doctrine here, but he was able to approach the Lord. He got grace because the Lord knew his name. I think that's Exodus 33. Let me keep going. Sorry, I'm going off track, but I think this needs to be understood. Then answered Peter and said unto Yahushua, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles. Exactly. Moses would not, you would not make a tabernacle for Moses. Okay. Enoch and Elijah will be basically look like as gods to you. Okay. Because they got the pleasure of being the true witnesses. One for thee and one for Moses and Elias. That's what they say here in Matthew. But it's Enoch and Elijah. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. Right. So if Yahushua is the beloved Son and he's being transfigured, Enoch and Elijah are also beloved. They've been translated and they have not seen death. So they must see death. They're in a godly state. And Yahushua came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man but Yahushua only. And as they came down from the mountain, Yahushua charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. Right. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elijah must first come? Right. Here we go. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. Right. So let's keep reading, and then we'll break it down. But I say unto you that Elijah has come already. Right. Here we go. And they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. Right. Now, when it says John the Baptist, John is a Levite. Right. You have to read Malachi. When Elijah comes, the Levites are going to be restored to their old traditions. They're going to learn everything. John didn't do that during his time because he was the spirit of Elijah. His flesh was John, but it was his spirit. Elijah has to come in his own flesh and die. All right, let's keep going. The Lord's face. Enoch chapter 71. And it came to pass that after this that my spirit was translated, and it ascended into the heavens, and I saw the holy sons of God, the holy sons of God. Let's read. They were stepping on flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their raiment and their faces shone like the snow. Right. They've been frozen. It's bright. They're in their glory. Let's read. And it's talked about all the time. You're going to rise as angels. Let me see. Okay, let's go to the book of Enoch, chapter 89. The Lord made himself known when the Israelites are coming out of Egypt. Right. That's why the Egyptians ran and fled from him. They saw his face. Let's read. And he called that sheep which had escaped the wolves, and spake with it concerning the wolves, that it should admonish them not to touch the sheep, Moses. And the sheep went to the wolves according to the word of the Lord. And another sheep met it, and went with it. And the two went and entered together into the assembly of those wolves, and spake with them, and admonished them not to touch the sheep from henceforth. And therefore I saw the wolves on how they oppressed the sheep exceedingly with all their power. And the sheep cried aloud. Right, the sheep have to be in unison, crying aloud to their Lord, because the word is your power. That's how your enemy is deceiving you, by keeping you separated. You keep separating yourselves. This is my blog. I'm with this set. You are all Israelites. You need to all be on one accord, coming back to the word. And then when you get oppressed, you pray to your Lord, and you do not go to your oppressor to get justice. Let's read. And the Lord came to the sheep, and they began to smite those wolves. And the wolves began to make lamentation, but the sheep became quiet and forthwith ceased to cry out. And I saw the sheep till they departed from amongst the wolves. But the eyes of the wolves were blinded, and those wolves departed in pursuit of the sheep. Right? The Lord blinded them to go chase them. Right? They're drunk now. They think they're going to take down the Israelites with all their power. And the Lord of the sheep went with them as their leader, and all his sheep followed him, and his face was dazzling and glorious and terrible to behold. But the wolves began to pursue those sheep till they reached a sea of water, and that sea was divided, and the water stood on the side and on that before their face. And the Lord led them and placed himself between them and the wolves. So the Lord fights for Israel. So he came down, made himself known to the sheep. They're running behind him, and then he put himself in front of the wolves. The Israelites don't have to do anything but come back to your Lord. Let's read. Began to pursue the sheep till they reached the sea of water, and that sea was divided, and the water stood on this side and on that before their face. And their Lord led them and placed himself between them and the wolves. And as those wolves did not yet see the sheep, they proceeded into the midst of that sea, and the wolves followed the sheep. And those wolves ran after them into the sea. And when they saw the Lord of the sheep, so the Egyptians saw Yahushua. Another reason why they would deceive you in Matthew and not let you tell you, so it makes you think about reading Enoch. It's a deception. Let's read. They turned to flee before his face, but the sea gathered itself together and became as it had been created, and the water swelled and rose till it covered those wolves. Right. So the wolves were destroyed. They saw Yahushua. He had blinded them to run in to see him, and they got scared, but they were already trapped. The Israelites didn't have to do anything but cry unto their Lord. Let's read. Testament of Isaac, chapter 12. Isaac said to Jacob, my beloved son, this is the last commandment I give you today. Keep a sharp eye on yourself. Do not dishonor the image of God. That's right. For what you do to the image of man, you do to the image of God, and God will do it to you too in the place where you will meet him. This is the beginning and the end. That's right. So they all know. Sorry, 1 second. They all know this. They all know this. Okay? About the line of man. You resemble the Lord. Just keep going. Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 31. And God said, let the earth bring forth a living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind, and it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Right. Men, women, and animals, but they're detailed as beasts. Let's read. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth with your seed, the holy seed of man, and subdue it. Right. The line of man, while you're on this earth, you are to be subduing the earth. taking over. And that's your instinct. In your captivity while you're in your sin, you want to subdue America or Europe. You want to make the laws for yourself. But you're in your sin, so it's not going to work for you, right? It's good because those things were working in accordance of the Lord. When sin came and corrupted everything, there's wicked beasts and good beasts, wicked Israelites and good Israelites, the sons of Belial, right? Um, the Israelites are supposed to have complete dominion over the earth, subdue it, which means take over. Let's read. You're not supposed to be walking around sheepish in your thought towards everyone else. You are supposed to have dominion, but you don't get that dominion unless you're in righteousness. Let's read. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Everything is yours, but you've been deceived because you don't love your face, so you don't love your brother, which is one of the main purposes of why we keep falling. Before we even get to the word, you don't love your brother. You don't grieve for your brother. You don't love yourself. That's why this word has to be revealed to you. Let's read Genesis chapter 9, verses 1 through 7. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. Right. Noah and his sons, every beast of the earth. Let's read. And upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea, into your hand are they delivered. Right, because they're listening to Noah. He's a righteous man. Blessed be the God of Shem. And then you had Japheth, and then you had Noah. So if they were in righteousness, it'd be all good. But then when sin creeps in, they lose that power. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Food. You can eat. Let's read. Even as the green herb have I given you all things, but flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. Right. So if anyone harms Noah and his sons because they're hearkening to Noah and his word, which is the word of God, you be destroyed. Let's read. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Right. So if you kill man, the line of man, let's read. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. Right. For in the image of God made he man. Now we're talking about the line of man because the Lord has given him a prophetic word. He's saying the line of man, anyone who sheds their blood, it will be shed by man. Right. Let's keep going. And you, Noah and your sons, going back to them, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. They're hearkening to the Lord because of Noah, but they stopped doing that. And now they've turned the world against the real line of man, and they're shedding your blood. Let's read. Let's go to, what's the last one? No? Odes of Solomon chapter 13. I got a bunch of them, but I just want to get some key ones. Behold, the Lord is our mirror. Open the eyes and see them in him and learn the manner of your face. Right. Because the line of man, you are the face of the Lord. He's your mirror. So when you look at yourself, you're looking at the Lord. You're his creation. You shouldn't be ashamed of your hair. You shouldn't be dyeing it purple. You shouldn't be ashamed of your beard. That's what the Lord has made you to be. You shouldn't be covering your face with makeup. The Lord didn't create you for that. That's for the vain of the world. Don't be ashamed of your hair being strong, kinky, because it's strong. It rises to the heavens. That's strength. It's not a flaw, right? Only those who are ashamed of themselves, who are the poor, who don't have knowledge of themselves, are ashamed of it. And it's been taught to you to be that way here in this earth. Terrible place to be. Let's read. If you're a Hebrew, let's read. And tell forth praise to his spirit, right? And wipe off the filth from your face, right? The filth of your face, and love his holiness, and clothe yourselves therewith, and be without stain at all times before him. Hallelujah. Let's see. Let's just do Revelation chapter 1, verse 10 through 15. Now, after you've watched part 1, part 2, Revelation will make more sense. And it'll really make more sense if you go to these records that I'm telling you and read it, because it all adds up. All these things have been taken away from you to really know the Lord's face. Let's read. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in a book. Right. John has to write this in a book because the Lord knows this deception is going to be in the earth. Right. You're going to be worshiping someone that's not him, and he has to put it in a book to see who's going to believe it and who is not. Because a lot of your people in this world, their heart is waxed gross, and they have a corrupted thought. Right. Like Noah and his sons, they were blessed, but that blessing goes away now. The earth is dying because they're in transgression, and they've been shedding the blood of man. Right. Everyone, if you sin on man, the whole earth is out of course, and it keeps crumbling as time goes by. Let's read. And send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, in Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks, right? Because the Lord, that's the menorah, but the Lord's throne, if you read Enoch, it's in between the 7 mountains which burn day and night. And that's the representation of the menorah. Let's read. And in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. Right, so his hairs would be white. Well, I'm getting grayer more, but white like wool. If you ever look at my hair, it's all curly, But his head is white because he's in his glory, his transfigured state, like what Enoch saw in heaven. But let's keep reading. As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Right, what did it say in Enoch? It says, his eyes are like fire, they bring forth sparks and it burns. So he's representing that image in a transfigured state. Let's read. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as a sound of many waters. Right, like fine brass, as if it burned in a furnace. I don't really know personally. I know what that means, but most people are not going to be upright concerning this, and they're going to make up their own reasoning. But that's why we study to show ourselves approved. The Lord is from the line of man, house of Judah, a chosen man of the Lord. He is the Alpha and the Omega. More than likely has probably skin tone like myself, maybe even darker. Anytime I read this, I start thinking about someone like someone dark. And I every time I see brothers like this, I'm like, I wonder if he's Judah. Like Michael Jordan, right? Dark. You know what I'm saying? Very well spoken. I get, but Michael Jordan with like crazy looking hair that's white and curly. That's what I see. But the scriptures and the word prove this. And there's no manipulation here. I'm just reading to you what's written, trying to give you some understanding about it. I have a lot more. You also read about it in Ezekiel. He came looking like brass, but I think that's talking about one of the angels. But anyway, I hope this is edifying. If you please watch part 1 before you watch part 2. I should have said that at the beginning, but I didn't. But you must know the Lord's face. If you don't know the Lord's face, you don't know how to get through the door. You won't understand the word of God because it's only given to the servants. And just like in the days of old, they did not know they were dealing with Hamashiach Yahushua, because our people don't love the word. You need to love the word. It is your life. And love your brother. All praise the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.